Hello everybody, welcome back to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. I hope your summers are going well so far and you're hopefully getting the harvest that you've expected for this year's growth. Recently I've got a lot of questions on our raised garden beds that we're building back here in our new backyard. Yeah, this is a brand new backyard. We started with nothing but grass and we've got a lot more work to do besides these raised garden beds back here. We're gonna start an alley for all of our fruit trees. We've got all of these vegetable gardens. We've got our perennial herb garden to put in with stuff like winter savory and things that are gonna come back every year for us. And then we have all of the perennial flower gardens to do as well. So it's gonna be a ton of projects coming up here. So I'm super, super stoked for it. I just can't wait. It's gonna be a nonstop fun here in the backyard. But on the raised garden beds, I've had a lot of questions about the wood chips that we're adding in here. People are wondering, what are we doing with all these wood chips? Why are they full of wood chips? I've got these beds right now halfway full of wood chips, and then all of the rows in between the garden beds are also full of wood chips. Now there's a couple of different reasons as to why I'm doing this. It has to do with, one, the cost of the whole project, and two, the beneficial organisms in the soil, and then just the overall quality of the soil that is essentially going to be feeding my plants. If you don't have good soil, you're not going to have good harvest in your vegetable garden, perennial gardens, whatever you're growing. If you don't have good soil, you're just not going to see as good of results. So in reality, we're kind of like growing soil as gardeners. That is one of the most important things to gardening. So let's give you guys a quick view of these garden beds to show you what I'm talking about, and then I will explain my reasoning behind why I do it this way. So as you can see, we have 7 raised garden beds built right now. We plan on doing over a dozen in total. And that's way we're going to be able to rotate our crops and then keep mostly one crop growing in each raised bed. That's kind of my goal here. And then we're going to have a couple of them for the perennial vegetables too. The very first plants that we got in these beds actually right now is our rhubarb. Then we plan on getting strawberries very shortly here. But as you can tell, we've got all of the beds covered with mulch up to about halfway point, a little bit less than halfway point now that they've compacted a little bit. And then we have mulch in all of our rows. This mulch right here came from our very own backyard when we had been doing all of the work on the arborvitaes that had to be removed. We chipped a lot of this stuff up ourselves. We've got a little Sun Joe chipper and that did a great job on this. So I'm gonna do a trial run with this arborvitae stuff to see if this is any good at maintaining a garden, if this is something we should avoid or not. But all the other mulch is a mix that was brought to us and dropped off for free from the city. So in your municipality, you should be able to get wood chips for free if you just call the city up and let them know that on the brush pickup days that you would like, say, one load, a whole dump load of wood chips. Most municipalities and cities, towns, villages, wherever you might live, are more than happy to leave the wood chips in your driveway because it saves them time and money. And then it's also a great free resource for you guys to put in your garden beds. So the reasons why I do this is, one, I can lay all of this out. It's going to kill the grass, and then it's going to start building soil for me right away. If we dig down, like I showed you a little bit earlier, this stuff is starting to break down, and it's going to turn into worm food, microorganism food, and that in turn is going to feed our plants, especially once it develops a relationship with the mycorrhizal fungi in the soil. The wood chips provide a great living medium for the mycorrhizal fungi that is very, very crucial in your garden. And then these pathways, if there are any weeds that pop up, very easy to take care of. I'll just dig down a little bit deep, make sure that root system is gone, and then pat it over, you're good to go. Just like this, we've got a dandelion right there. Just dig down a little bit, grab that handful, pull some pressure on it, pull it out. So you got all the roots right there, and then pop it back in, leaving the weed out obviously, and that's it. So it's very easy to weed. I don't have to worry about weed whacking or mowing or anything like that within these rows. And this is also going to help attract the initial onset of worms into our garden beds too. So that's another benefit. Then once we get to planting here, I'll show you exactly what I did with this. Since we've got plants right here, we've got soil up on top of the wood chips. So we had about halfway full of the mulch, and then what we did was all the way up to the top, I would say about 2.5 inches down from our board, 3 inches down from our board, we put our soil. This is a mixture of soil and compost. And then on top of that, again, we add in a couple of inches, I would say an inch or two of mulch as a top dressing. This is going to stop the weeds, and then it's also going to, again, break down over time into food for the microorganisms, and is also going to provide great water retention in the soil compared to if I just had nothing but soil and no mulch or wood chips on top of that at all. These wood chips do a really good job at keeping the soil moist. As you saw over there when I dug down beneath the wood chips, it was really wet as soon as I got down about 3 inches into that soil. It really does make a huge difference. So if you're not doing any sort of mulching in your vegetable gardens, I recommend using this method. And again, you can get this for free from most cities and municipalities, and they'll drop it right off in your driveway. And then you just got to do the manual work of getting it over to your garden beds. So in case you guys were wondering what all that stuff that looked like smoke was, that's essentially mold or fungus starting to break down the wood chips as it's been sitting in the driveway for just about almost 2 months at this point. It's been like a month and a half that we've had it out there because we've been so busy with other projects. I just haven't been able to do all the mulching in the yard. So that mulch is already breaking down as we speak. It is wet, it's holding moisture, it's going to start feeding the microorganisms in the soil, and it's going to create an incredible base for our gardens here as we start growing in them next year. We're going to get some soil and compost mixed in with these, and that brings me to the next reason as to why I love putting this mulch down in the wood chips as a base in our raised garden beds, is that it's going to save me on the cost of filling up these beds with soil. I'm going to have to pay nearly half the price for soil as I would have otherwise. And I've included some amazing organic materials that are going to break down and do all the things that I've been talking about during the whole video. So it's going to save me money. It's going to be creating some incredible soil for me. And it's a great resource that you guys can use where otherwise it might have been just thrown on a pile somewhere and left to decay. You can use that as a resource, a free resource nonetheless, in your yard and in your gardens. This stuff is great even for putting around your trees instead of going out to the store and buying mulch and wood chips that have been dyed a lot of the times with different sorts of chemicals, or sometimes with cocoa, which can be dangerous to our dogs if they happen to smell it and want to eat that. That can be dangerous. And then let's be honest, the color fades out within a season anyways. So you might as well just get this free stuff from your city. It's a great resource. Definitely utilize it in your garden. Well, I'm sure I might have missed something, but we will be talking about wood chips and mulching, all sorts of incredible benefits of it too in future videos as we carry on with the progression of our backyard gardens, our perennial gardens, and then our indoor gardens as well. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I hope you found today's episode entertaining and possibly even learned a little bit. Stay tuned as we have, again, got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of projects coming up here, and we're going to spend even more time in our gardens than we ever have before, since we now have our very own larger backyard vegetable garden, and I don't have to drive somewhere where I'm not able to devote as much time to it like we have in the past. You know, a couple of raised garden beds that we built this year weren't on our land, but were on a friend's land that was about 15 to 20 minutes away. So just taking the time to get out there and spend time with the plants, especially this year, since we had the whole house remodel, was near impossible. But now that we have all of these beds in our backyards and a lot of other projects coming up here in the future, it is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are too. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Hit that bell button so you're notified of every time that we come out with a new video detailing the projects and progress of our backyard gardens and everything having to do with my life and gardening. Thank you all so much for watching. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next episode.